Coming up on Facebook Live shortly.
Hey, can you guys guess what this song is right here? Alright, I want to know who sings it, and I want to know what great 80s movie this is from. Let's turn it up here for you. Alright. We always wish for fame. I've interviewed this guy before, too, by the way. Change! What movie is this from? Oh, it's a great 80s movie right here. One of our favorites. Good morning, Scotty Smith. Thanks for joining us, Drop Off Line Sports. Man, good soundtrack. You know what? I'm going to have to work this into the B105.7 playlist, All Ladies Weekend this weekend. This has got to go. Hope you guys are doing well. I got a lot to talk about today. I mean, what a weekend, huh? Rick Clark, hoops tonight. It depends on Lady has a practice, and it depends on what time.
Man, he crushed that one.
The practice is complete. It depends on that, but I will try. Plus, I played basketball like 3 consecutive days, and my knee is killing me. Rick Clark, knee's killing me. And the last time Rick Clark came over, you didn't show up. No, that wasn't the last time. One of the last times. One of the few last times. What Michael Graver says, boy, you and Wells were way off on the roster cuts. I can't wait to hear your take. What was I way off on? Help me. What was I way off on? Actually, you know, everybody's talking about the John Simon thing, and I didn't think too much of it. And those that, you know, listen to the show didn't think too much of it because we talked about it on Friday, didn't we? We talked about it on Friday being a possibility. Good morning, Heath. Hope all's well in Central Indiana. Hope all's well in Southern Indiana as well, Heath. Colleen is on board here. Seltzer! I am way too old for that. My man Kurt's down in Jasper. Good morning to you, buddy. Drop Off Line Sports brought to you by Bobcat of Indy. All right, I got to find some better music here. What are we doing? Sean Patrick Turley, good morning to you. Oh, another great 80s movie, man. We got 80s movie soundtrack music right now. By the way, that was John Waite and Change from Vision Quest. Come on. This is Oingo Boingo Weird Science from Weird Science. Brian Crow, good morning. Colleen says roster cuts were kind of a shock. Which one's the Simon? We talked about the Simon thing on Friday. Listen, that's something that you heard, but I hadn't heard anybody tell me that. But nope, that's the way they went. Kurt Casper, good morning. I hope you're feeling better, Kurt. You got to get back over there later on tonight, don't you, buddy? I've actually been kind of sick this weekend for some reason. I have no idea why, other than kids. That's about it. What do you guys think about the Colts Cuts? Let's see what else. Colts Cuts. Start of the season. Have you decided to downgrade your level of wins this year by virtue of the Colts cut? Hey, listen, John Simon's not going to make that much of a difference. The only problem with John Simon that you have right here, and this is the old problem, is the quote from Chris Ballard that Kevin Bowen put out there that talked about how guys in the locker room know the level of competition and who's getting it done and who's not, and they know when you make those decisions and make those cuts. And part of the problem for the Colts, they tried to shop him, and he played a lot, and he played well, and he played better than really anybody defensively. And again, that's relative because it was the preseason, and I mean, how much better can you play anyway? I mean, and just nobody else played well defensively, and he kind of showed out as playing well. And then all of a sudden fans thought, well, this guy is a commodity that you can lean on. And while shopping him, they set an unrealistic expectation from the fan base, so when they could not get a deal done with him and they had to just outright release him or cut him, the fans got pissed. That's pretty much it. Because when you think about it, he's not going to be a difference between winning and losing. He does make them better, though. And this is not... I am kind of streamlined for Chris Ballard. I'm still waiting, like where everybody else has kind of anointed him. I think that he has an idea. Can he execute the idea? I am still waiting. I understand why you wanted to go away from John Simon. I do that. But the problem that you have is you have that quote out there and that makes you look bad. And I'd have to think you got guys in the locker room thinking, okay, so wait a minute, you can play at that level, and the coaches can talk about you at that level, and then boom, you're done. Jeremy Gold, good morning to you. That's the problem that you had. But they wanted to play Toure, they wanted to play Basham, and they didn't want Simon to be a roadblock. And certainly Simon played a hell of a lot better. And I'm sure that they deeply had injury concerns there, but it wasn't the big deal. I'm not ready to anoint Chris Ballard as anything great. I'm not ready to suggest that he's incredibly awful, but that's just kind of the way that it is. I'll tell you what, you look at the resume, though, and you look at some of the cuts you made from your 2017 draft class, and then you look at the incredible wasted year, and I don't really put that on Ballard as much as I put that on Irsay. Having the lame duck head coach there last year just screwed everything up, because really, they should be in year number 2 of what they're trying to do right now. I mean, that's just how unfortunate the entire situation has been. You keep him around, and as a lame duck coach because of your loyalty or just because you couldn't find anybody else that you wanted. I mean, baloney. Last year was a bunch of garbage. Last year should be this year, and this is what this year is looking out for. It looks like it's going to be a bad one too. Hey, I got to ask you this. Conventional wisdom would suggest this. Conventional wisdom would suggest that this year the Colts may backpedal. Now, people tell me, and again, this is conventional wisdom, that it's better to only be a 2-game winner than be an 8-game winner because you get a better pick. All right, let me give you my philosophy on that right now. And while getting a higher pick, one of those top 3, top 4 picks, obviously if you're so bad, is right there. The problem you're going to have is, there are people that believe in Ballard. There are a lot of people that don't think Ballard is really good at what he does. The issue you're going to have is if you're a 2-win team, for example, if you backpedal this year and look bad, nobody's going to buy into what you're doing. Nobody's going to buy into what you're doing. That's why my philosophy is a little bit different than everybody else's. Everybody else says, you know what? You go ahead and just for lack of a better term, you tank it, right? Just go ahead and tank it and play for a high draft pick. But if you look worse than you did in a 4-win awful season last year when Andrew Luck is back, that's not selling anybody on the future here. It's not selling anybody on the future, and it doesn't take too long to turn into the Jets or the Browns or Buffalo. I mean, we've been down that path around here before. So my philosophy is a little different than everybody else's. Everybody else says, hey, you know what? If you're going to lose, go ahead and lose big because you can get a top 3 pick or whatever. My philosophy is if you lose that bad, it is a sign that your plan is not working, that your guys aren't getting better, especially with this schedule. It's not working. So that's the problem that I have. And listen, I understand what you're trying to say about a higher draft pick. But I think it's worse if your guys don't start playing the way that you hope they have, because there's not going to be a lot of people believing in your program, your plan, if it doesn't. So that's my thought on that, Jay. Good morning. Scotty Smith, good morning. Let's see what we got here. Lewis getting hurt does hurt the team. Also, the pick of Hines in the 4th was god-awful. Mark Brooks says Ballard wants the youngest to play. There's no doubt he wants the young kids to play, but like I said, you play him so much, and he does perform well in the preseason because you're trying to shop him, and then when you don't get anybody to take him, all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, you just got to cut the guy, and then you talk about having competition and players in the locker room knowing who's played well and who hasn't. It's just, that's a mixed message, and that's an issue right there. That is an issue. I'm not suggesting that John Simon was, Robert Mathis or Dwight Freeney, but just the way that went down just kind of looks bad. And hey, believe me, you have plenty of right. If you're anti Chris Ballard right now, you got some right here. You got some right. First of all, it would be tough, and he's really lucky that nobody wanted Josh McDaniels but him. Because had that been somebody that everybody around here wanted, he would still be living that down. But it was easy to go ahead and just step up and own it and then let everybody else kind of bring in Frank Reich and say, oh, here's the guy. Because we all like Frank Reich. I think we all believe in Frank Reich. But think about that. He was like one of the few, if not the only person that wanted Josh McDaniels. And the public criticism would have been worse. The media criticism would have been worse had it been a guy. McDaniels would have been a guy that everybody wanted. But in fact, everybody was glad to see the guy not want to be here and decide not to take the gig. So, I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. A lot of people ask me all the time, well, you know, how do you compare him and Grigson? Well, I mean, Grigson in year number 1 was executive of the year. So, man, he started out well. It's just when he decided to mold the team between he and Chuck, and then they had issues at trying to mold it, that's when he showed signs of just not being a good general manager, not being able to get the job done. I mean, the luck pick wasn't his. But the first year was good. They went on a 3-year trajectory. But, man, when they hit rock bottom, they hit rock bottom, didn't they? So we'll see with Chris Ballard here. We really will. We'll talk about that later on today. I got a lot more to say regarding the Colts Cuts and the Colts season, too. And, again, that Bengals game is a must-win. Excuse me, coming up on Sunday. We'll be doing the ride to kickoff stuff with me down at bullseyeeventgroup.com, so be ready for that. Hopefully you can get your tickets and get going here. Jeremy Goat says, if you lose that bad one draft pick won't change it. Good morning, Walt. Good morning, Ryan. Corey Hall said, shouldn't we be trying to win now? Hey, Corey, man, I'm right there with you. I don't, the people that suggest that it's better off to only win 2 games and be worse, I don't get. There are a lot of things playing here. Hey, Corey, I'll give you a great example. If that's your philosophy should be at the end of this year to try to trade Andrew Luck, right? If he stays healthy and he plays well, shouldn't you? I mean, if that's as far as you're going, that should be your philosophy. And knowing what you know about the NFL and the quarterback position, where you really have to take advantage, like the Rams are trying to do right now with Jared Goff, like the Eagles had tried to do, take advantage of an early quarterback that is scaled financially, so once they hit their big payday, it doesn't sidetrack the rest of your team. I completely agree with you. To me, the negatives of backpedaling after a 4-win season and then going 8-8, 8-8, 4-win, and then less and a bad season, I think the negatives far outweigh, hey, maybe you'll get a top 3 pick. At least that's my thought. I completely agree with you there. Emax, thank you. Ryan Hickle says, that defense is going to get blown away by Cincy on Sunday. It looks like it very well could be. JMV, I think that the staff doesn't know what they have in Luck right now after the injury and a new offense. Just because Luck is back doesn't mean he is good. Well, I mean, it does look like that. I don't know if it's like that, but it looks like that. It just looks like that because they're in a rebuild that, frankly, they should have done last year. I mean, that was last year. J.D. Waldrop, good morning. Sean Patrick Turley, agree 100%. Trade Luck if that is your plan. Seriously. I mean, if your plan is to continually get worse and get another draft pick, trade him. Trade him. And go with Brissett. Get him out of here and trade him. I mean, this dude's going to be running for his collective life. You know that, right? I mean, especially on Sunday. He's going to be running for his life. So trade him. I mean, if you want to be bad, and believe me, man, all this being bad for high draft picks turns you into Cleveland pretty quick if you're not careful. And especially if you don't have the right guys. Be careful of that crap, don't you? Thank you, JD. Corey Hall says, like Jacoby Brissett, he said the Rams are going to be a top 5 NFC team. Yep. The Rams haven't been good since the late 90s, though, man. The Rams have been fighting this. They weren't good until last year. But no, the philosophy is this. The philosophy is now that you get a top-level young quarterback, hope you get the right one, and try to win within the first, like the Colts should have done with Luck. And then once he got that big payday, you have to start scaling back financially and losing players, although the Colts didn't really lose any players that weren't any good in the first place. You know what I mean? But, I mean, if you're that far down in a rebuild, I think it's useless to have Andrew Luck here. It's me. That's just me. But that's my philosophy. We'll talk about that later on today with you. Maybe that is their plan. That's not what I've heard, but maybe that is their plan. I mean, maybe the guy, you put him out there and, he does some things and, Do you really want to get that bad? The problem is that you built such a lack of goodwill here that, man, fan base wise, people are going to go away. People are going to go away. You got 3 years of bad and disappointing. You don't need to backpedal this year. Listen, if I'm Chris Ballard, I don't want to see these guys that I've drafted and put together. I want to see them showing some signs this year. Pat Kendall says Brissett looked good in the preseason. Ryan, if this team goes 3-13, good luck filling that stadium. That's going to be an issue too. There's no question about that. Completely agree with you on it. What else we got here? Sorry, I got a little bit of a cold here. I did stop by this place, Casey's General Store. I kind of like it. It was brand new, had new bathrooms and everything. I was really excited. See, that's the kind of stuff that gets me excited now. New bathrooms. Anyway, we'll talk about that later on today. I got some stuff to give away. I'm going to be giving away passes to the bullseyeeventgroup.com Colts VIP tailgate, which should be fun. I'm telling you what, I'm all in. If anybody represents Casey's General Store, if they want to be a sponsor to the show, I'm all in on it. I think it was pretty good. There's a new one. There's a new one over here at Madison, near County Line right there, and it's brand new. I like it brand new. I like it. I got a question for you. Casey's General Store or Huck's? What do you got? Casey's or Huck's? What do you got? Bobby Carter said he should have traded Luck for 2 firsts, then traded those for Mack. Yeah. No, I'm not suggesting they trade Luck. My suggestion is, if your plan is just to be really bad, I mean, if you are tanking, you know, like everybody has told me that it's better off to be bad than it is to be 8-8, you know, to backpedal instead of 8-8, then you got to trade your quarterback out of there. I mean, the philosophy doesn't work to me with Andrew Luck. You don't want to be a 2-win team with Andrew Luck, your quarterback. To be bad, to get him knocked around, and I'm assuming too that you just, let's say hypothetically, if you wanted to trade him, you're a 2-win team. Andrew Luck, you get knocked around, your numbers might not be as good. I mean, you trade value. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. And I know Heath at Bloomfield has a Hucks. All right, later on today, Drop Off Line Sports. We'll try to get Lady back on a little bit later on this week. I gotta walk. There's a PNC Bank behind me here. I gotta walk in there and do a couple of things, and I'll be at you at 3. This weekend should be my debut on B105.7. I had last night, seriously, I got up at midnight and made a 50 plus song playlist with no repeats or anything like that. I can't wait to melt some faces coming up this weekend. I don't know when exactly it's going to be. I'll let you know. But Rick Clark says right now Lucky's the only one selling seats. That is the only hope this year. I mean, that's the other thing too, man. Fans got to have some damn hope here. Fans got to have some hope. He's the only one that gives them any hope. I don't want to see them go worse than 4 games this year, just for sake of a top 3 pick. You can have that. You can have that philosophy. You can have that Browns, that Jets philosophy. I mean, for every listen, yeah, it works for the Rams now. You know how long the Rams were terrible? Like a decade and a half, almost 2 decades, I think. That's how long they were bad. You want that? I don't want that. How long ago were the Rams good? They got that top draft pick in Sam Bradford. How did that turn out? Just got to be careful, man. You got to be careful what you wish for. The people are sick and tired of having the same old bad. The people are used to winning around here. And if I'm Chris Ballard and my guys don't show signs this year, I'm going to have a problem. I should have a problem. Maybe not with Jim Irsay, but I'm going to have a problem with folks around here. So I would think that you would want to be as good as you can this year. Oh, I love this song. That's a good one right here. All right. Ryan says, AMV, do you know that the Colts even looked at getting Mack? They did not look at getting Mack. No look at getting Mack. That price, there was no way they're going to give away with this whole rebound and this whole rebuild in mind. There was no way they're going to pay that price. 0. None. All right. This is on the playlist right here. Simple Minds. I believe if you guys like Simple Minds, everybody basically were introduced to Simple Minds when you went to see Breakfast Club. But this is 1982-ish right here. One of their earlier songs from the 80s. Awesome. Promised You a Miracle. Doug Hall, good morning. All right, I got to run here. You guys, I've got everything. Must listen radio today. Rick Venturi's at 5. Must listen radio today because stuff I didn't get covered yesterday because we were off. I got it for you. Loaded up some great Colts information that you will love. That is later on today. And your chance to be a part of the Colts VIP Tailgate with Bullseye event group this weekend. Coming up today after 3. You guys are awesome. Drop off Line Sports.